Good morning once again, dear participants. Sincere apologies for starting this masterclass session very late. And this is as a result of some technical issues which we've encountered this morning. But I've just shared a new link for the YouTube for people to join via YouTube. Please, let's endeavor to check that link and share with all our participants across the state. Please, all state reps down Zoom currently should endeavor to do that before we start the session. I know many people will have been clicking on the previous link. Please, let's endeavor to share the new link across to each and every one. Once again, I want to welcome each and every one of us to the 6th week of the masterclass session. And this morning, I have to apologize. So sorry, Dr. Tenny, for keeping you waiting for over 20 minutes. And despite the inconvenient situation which we put, actually, I know that is our timing because Lagos and every other issues around there, I know that it's a whole lot, but it's our timing is quite inconvenient for you. So sorry, our sincere apologies regarding that. So we are going straight to the masterclass session for today. Just like we've earlier mentioned last week, we'll be having two various sessions this week, and the first one is on climate solutions and sustainable energy. And taking that is Dr. Tenigbade Odu. And Dr. Tenigbade Odu is a graduate of estate management from Federal University of Technology, Mina, and she has a PhD in housing from University of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. And with us this morning, we have Dr. Tenigbade. She's also an EDGE Green Building Expert, certified by the World Bank, IFC, and a professional member of the Green Building Council Nigeria. And our main research interest is in environmental sustainability in the built environment, and she refers herself as an environmental enthusiast. Thank you so much, Dr. Tony, for joining this call this morning. I know that you are really prepared for us. It's going to be a wonderful and insightful section this morning. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Manuel, and good morning. I'm very honored. No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very honored to be here. Yeah, and thank you for the topic which you have given me to speak on. It's something that I can relate to it very well. So I hope that we have an interesting session this morning. So if you can see me, you'd see that I'm in a car. That's because Lagos traffic had me this morning and I had to park somewhere. Yes, also I don't know if you noticed, but I'm wearing a t-shirt. That's because it's my secondary school reunion and we're supposed to be having a visit to my secondary school. So I'm actually a few minutes away. Yes. Yeah. Awesome. So all right. So can I start?
Yes, you can start, man. You can start.
Okay. Do I have rights to share my screen?
Security. Yes, you can share your screen, man.
Okay. Right. Sorry, just okay. Let's give me a few minutes or a few seconds, sorry. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, your screen is up now, man. Your screen is up.
All right. Okay. So good morning.
Okay, I think, can we?
Okay,
can
are you seeing
please
it in presenter view?
Yes, kindly enable the screen.
Oh, okay, please, I'll fix that now first. How about now? How about now?
Very perfect now. It's very
Okay.
perfect now. I think we are good with that.
Okay. So good morning again, everyone, and welcome to this session. So to speak on climate solutions and sustainable energy. I don't have a very good background or I don't have so much information about the participants and your backgrounds, but I'm believing that you have been, if this is the 6th week, it means that we've been talking about sustainable development and the sustainable development goals. So I don't think that we need to dwell on that. Emmanuel, am I right?
Yes, perfectly. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm sure I want to believe that people on this call know what sustainable development is. And to a large extent, you know what the sustainable development goals are. Okay. So at the end of this presentation, these are some questions that we should be able to answer. Why are we here? Why are we here talking about sustainable energy? What exactly is sustainable energy? Why is it an issue? Why is it something that we all need to talk about? Then what are the issues around energy? Why is there so much hullabaloo about energy anyway in the first place? Then what are the goals? What goals are we trying to achieve? And we're going to find out what is sustainable energy, then who is doing what about sustainable energy, and then what can we do? Yes. So why are we here? Okay. So as you can see on the screen now, this is a quote by Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a popular Hollywood actor. Okay. He says the future is green energy, sustainability, renewable energy. Okay. And the reason this is up is to show us that even the big names, or people we call the big names, are also involved in this whole sustainable or green energy thing. So what exactly are the issues? Like I said, what's all the hullabaloo about sustainable energy or about energy in the first place? All right. So basically, we know what we use energy for. We use energy to power our machines. We use it to power our cars. We use it to power our houses. For those of us in the tropics, we use it for cooling. Cooling takes a large chunk of our energy use. For those in the temperate and cold regions, heating takes a large chunk of what they use energy for. Also, we use it in manufacturing. We use basically every part of our daily lives require energy, whether it's in the hospitals, whether it's in the schools, in the offices, in markets, on farms. There is not a single aspect of our daily life in which we do not use energy. So the truth is, it's not like it's something we can say we will not use. We have to use it. Okay. Now, A large percentage of the energy today is powered by fossil fuels. Fossil fuels. So what exactly are fossil fuels? Fossil fuels are found inside the earth crust, and they are usually burnt to produce energy. So fossil fuels are, all those things that nations are fighting over, who controls the largest share, who supplies the largest share, what's the price of Brent crude and something crude and that crude, all those things are fossil fuels. So we are talking of things like crude oil, we're talking of things like coal, all those things are what makes up fossil fuel. So the burning of fossil fuel releases carbon into the atmosphere, okay? Because basically, among other things, the main compositions of fossil fuel are carbon and hydrogen. Now, to produce energy, these fuels need to be burnt. And when we say burnt, it means they are converted from one form to another to produce energy. Okay, so every time we burn them, we are releasing carbon into the atmosphere. Now, carbon, along with other elements, make up greenhouse gases. So like I said, I was trying to confirm that there's a background to, the participants have a background in sustainable development. So if you have that background, I'm sure that somewhere along the line, you must have heard about greenhouse gases, okay? Now, greenhouse gases they're made up of carbon, things like carbon and methane, water vapor, and some other things. And, they are found in the atmosphere. So what they do is that they act as a blanket in the atmosphere. And what happens is, the heavier that blanket is, it's almost like using your blanket at home. When you're cold, the thicker your blanket, the warmer you are, because the blanket is trapping in more heat. So that's exactly what the greenhouse gases do. It's usually just called GHG. So that's exactly what GHG does. What GHG does is that it acts as a blanket in the atmosphere. So it traps heat from the sun and keeps it in the atmosphere. So when you hear of global warming, global warming, when you hear people saying global warming, what simply means is that there's now an increased amount of GHG in the atmosphere that is making the atmospheric temperatures increase steadily. Okay, so, and like I said, a large chunk of GHG contains carbon, and carbon, like I said earlier, is released into the atmosphere when fossil fuels are burnt. So I said this leads to global warming, which in turn is triggering climate change. Okay, so because the atmosphere is warmer than it should usually be, it is also affecting climate, and sometimes it can get confusing, like why do we have warm temperature and then we're having flooding at the same time? Now what happens is that because temperatures are warmer than they're supposed to be, places where there are ice caps, okay, so like places in the polar regions where you have mountains with ice caps, where you would ordinarily have ice shelves or icebergs, all those kind of things, they are all now melting. Okay, so a lot of those ice caps are melting. A lot of those ice shelves are melting to the extent that some of them are breaking away. If you follow the news, you find that some of those ice shelves are actually breaking away. Now, when they melt, of course, when ice melts, it melts into water. Okay, so the water runs down and finds its way into the existing water bodies. So what happens is that the water bodies are also swelling. They are increasing. Okay, so as they are swelling, of course, there's need for, where does the water flow into? So the water flows, we always say water would always find its level. So water flows from the limits which have been defined for it into other existing places. And that's why you see there's a lot of cases of flooding. So I'm trying to help us to understand the link between driving your car or putting on your generator and the flooding, say, that is going on in Lokoja or something like that. Okay. So it is a global issue. The thing with environmental sustainability is that it is a leveler. You can't say, usually when we're talking about countries or economies, you say one is some people call themselves developed countries, some people call themselves developing, they call some other people developing countries. There was a time they used to say underdeveloped, but I think that is now a derogatory term to use, so nobody says that again. But you see, with environmental issues or with climate issues, it's no respecter of what kind of country or what kind of economy you're in. When the effects come, it doesn't choose. As a matter of fact, I usually say, I think God loves God loves us in this part of the world, because yes, we are facing our own issues. But if you see the news and you see how the developed countries continue to battle these things back to back, you are wondering, I mean, we are blessed in this part of the world. I mean, you see, just last week or 2 weeks ago, you saw the devastation that happened in Florida, and all that. So it is a major challenge. So to this end, of course, you know that the United Nations, usually has this climate summits every year, at the end of every year. I think it's in November every year. And so the one in 2015 held in Paris. And, after they looked at all the indices and all the, they looked at all the happenings and everything, they came to a consensus and said, we need to keep atmospheric temperatures below 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial level. So I'm going to explain what that means. So when you hear pre-industrial level, simply means a period when the atmospheric temperature started being recorded. Okay, so I don't know, I don't have the exact date now, but there was a period years ago when they started taking note of atmospheric temperatures. Okay, so what they're saying is that the degree of grace that we have above those initial periods is just 1.5 degrees Celsius. There is no assurance that the Earth as it is will be able to sustain life if we pass this 1.5 degrees Celsius over the pre-industrial levels. Now, take note that in the middle of all this, we've had the warmest years on record in the past 10 years. I think about 2 years or so have come across as the warmest years ever on record. Okay, so I'm not trying to paint a picture of gloom here, and I'm not trying to scare us, but I just think that we need to understand, if you're going to be advocating for something, you should understand why. I mean, if you who is advocating does not understand why you're advocating, there won't be that passion and the zeal to pass the message across. So I think it's very important that we understand why exactly it's important to advocate for sustainable energy. Now, I just talked about the 1.5 degrees Celsius targets. Like I said, I don't want to be a messenger of doom, but I'm just stating the fact. So in May 2002, which is this year, the UN published the following report by the Meteorological Organization on their website. Okay, they said there is a 50-50 chance of average global temperature reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in the next 5 years. And the likelihood is increasing with time. Let me read that again so that it sinks in. There is a 50-50 chance of average global temperature reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels in the next 5 years, and the likelihood is increasing with time. What that means is that we are running a race against time. And the sad part is that every year, consistently, every year, they have this climate summits where world leaders all come together and pledge, okay, my country, this is what we're going to do, you know, to forestall GHG emissions. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do, including our country. President Buhari was in Scotland. Last year it was in Scotland. This year it's going to be in Cairo. So every year they go there and they pledge. And then they go back to their countries. Some people are making efforts. Some people, nothing changes. Okay. So this is just something for us to think about. Okay. Yeah, so what exactly are fossil fuels? Here, I'm just showing examples of some of the things that contain fossil fuels. This is not an exhaustive list, but this will give us an idea of what fossil fuels are. So we have your coal, you have your oil, crude oil, you know. So apart from, if we look at places like the Niger Delta, apart from the environmental devastation that is happening, you know, especially from the exploration and from the oil spillage and all of that, you know, there's also the fact that even if these oils were not spilled and if they got to their refineries safely, you know, there will still be an issue of environmental degradation due to the release of carbon into the atmosphere. Then you have your natural gas, you have your kerosene, and you have propane. So propane is also used in things like, you know, your air conditioners and so on and so forth. So these are some examples of what we refer to as fossil fuels. Okay, so if you have a barcode, if you have your smartphones and you have a barcode scanner, I'd like you to scan this barcode. It will take you to a page. Sorry. Yes. So it will take you to a page where there is a quiz. Okay. So I'll leave it there for a few seconds. If you have any issues, please let me know. I'm supposed to activate the quiz so that you can answer it. Let me just do that. Okay, so please, I need feedback. What can you see? Mr. Manuel, please, I'd like to know, what do you see now? Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very clearly, ma. For
Can you
the
see the
barcode,
barcode?
you just shared with us. Personally, I have to screenshot it and see how I can share with them. But alternatively, I don't know if there is a link to this for easy as, but yeah, everyone
okay.
can.
Okay, let me see if I can get a link instead. So I'll put that in the let me put that in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am. All right, that's fine.
Yeah. So I've sent the link.
Okay, all right, that's fine, ma'am. Please, okay, let me try and share with those who are on YouTube for them to have the link. Okay, just a minute. Okay.
So please, as the responses, my glasses. As the responses come in, we'll see the results live. I hope you can see the results. It says, which of these is the approximate temperature of total global GHG contributed by the energy supply sector? Let me know when it's enough time to, because I don't know if you've been able to share the
as the responses. Yes, the link has been shared on YouTube. As the responses come in, we'll see the results live. I hope you can. Yes, we can see your screen now.
Okay, so I'll give 1 more minute for more responses to come in.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, so can we continue? All right, so for the responses we have in, 10% of our participants think that 29% of our participants think that total, that's 29% think that 10% of the total global GHG is contributed by the energy supply sector. Energy supply sector simply means your downstream petroleum products and so on. Okay, so 50% think that it is responsible for 70%, and 25% think that energy supply sector is responsible for 35%. Okay, so it keeps, as people are answering, the percentages are changing, but the general notion here is that the energy supply sector is responsible for 70%. Okay, so if that is our reality, then we'll be in trouble. So it's not yet that bad. Okay, so it's actually about 35%. I'm trying to start sharing my screen again. Sorry, walking from the car is very unsettling. No, I'm sorry, I'm being a bit sloppy. All right, so as I said, the correct estimation is actually about 35%, which is a lot. Do not be deceived by that figure. It's actually a lot. So it means that if, of course, it's not possible, but if for some reason we stop needing energy, we would have reduced GHG emission by 35%. Okay, and you'll be surprised to know that even all the other things that we need energy for, that release GHG into the atmosphere, are still indirectly, associated with energy supply. So I just wanted to put that data out there. So what exactly are our goals? I had said earlier that I am sure that people on this call are very familiar with Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 of them. So, and if you look at those goals very well, you find out that in one way or the other, they are all interwoven. There's no strict black or white. There are a lot of grays in between. But I picked out these ones because these ones really, really directly speak to what we're talking about today. So SDG 13 and SDG 7. SDG 13, I mean, everybody knows that we're taking action to combat climate change and its impacts. And then SDG 7 is to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. You know, we had a session a few weeks ago and people were saying, how do you combine affordable with sustainable? Okay, maybe sustainable and reliable, you can, put together, but you cannot put, sorry, please hold on. Just give me a few seconds.
Okay, the advocate, sorry, just in a few
I'm sorry
minutes.
about that. I'm sorry about that. I'm back.
That's fine, man.
All right. So what exactly is sustainable energy? If you are going to be advocating it, you should be able to explain what it is. So I said sustainable energy is energy. I mean, this is just this is a no-brainer. It's from the definition of sustainable development. So sustainable energy is energy that can be used and reused constantly without depleting the source, so that future generations can also have access to energy. Okay. I don't know why it stopped sharing by itself. I don't know why. I'll just try to do it again. Yes. So sustainable energy is energy that can be used and reused constantly without depleting the source, so that future generations can also have access to energy. Okay. So basically, renewable energy is sustainable energy. So what do we mean by, I'm sure we know when we say renewable resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are resources that can be renewed. As they are depleting, they are renewing themselves. Okay, so we say rainwater, for instance, is a renewable resource. Solar energy or sunlight is a renewable resource, because as long as, I mean, you know, the sun shines, we have solar energy. Wind energy is a renewable resource, things like that. Okay. Now, non-renewable resources are actually finite. That means that it is possible for them to finish. It is possible for them to finish. So crude oil is a non-renewable resource. Okay. Yes, we have been extracting it for years and it's still there. Well, it actually is finite and it is going to finish one day. Okay, so this advocacy is also for renewables, not only in energy, in almost everything that we do. Let us focus on, because if we're going to leave something behind for those coming behind us, it means that we are not finishing what we have now. So renewable energy is sustainable energy. So let's look at some examples of renewable energy. So I had mentioned wind energy, okay, the use of these wind turbines, solar energy, geothermal energy. Oh, of course, we all know what solar energy is, and the use of photovoltaic panels, you know, to capture the sun rays, which then converts it into electricity, which can be used immediately or which can be stored in batteries for later use. Then geothermal energy is energy produced from the heat, which is in the soil or in the ground. Okay, so if you know anybody that works on maybe construction, so people that dig out that excavates the ground, you know, they will tell you that, you know, the deeper they go, the warmer the earth becomes. So there is actually technology to capture all that heat, you know, and then to convert it in such a way that it now produces energy. Then we have hydro energy, so which is basically the use of or the controlling of water into things like dams, such a way that they are used to power turbines, which now power electricity. Biomass. So there's a lot of discussion around biomass. And biomass is basically electricity which is gotten from waste, organic waste. Okay, so organic waste may include food, organic waste may include even human waste, animal waste. And I'm aware that there are farms where, you know, the basic method of fueling the farms or fueling fires on those farms is through the use of biomass. Okay. And I'm also aware that there are people who have started using human waste. You know, they have these whole systems that they have constructed maybe around their sewers and their soakaways, such that they can capture the gas. So there's a digester that's, you know, it's a whole lot of technical and technical jargons, but the bottom line is that there's a whole process, you know, that captures gas that comes from that waste, and then it's moved into a generator which now generates electricity, or is moved into a cylinder and is now used for cooking. So biomass is receiving a lot of attention as we speak. I mean, in the search for renewables, a lot of people have started considering biomass as a very viable option. Okay, I'm aware that we went on a visit to LOMA, that's the Lagos State Waste Management Agency, the other day, and you know, they had told us that they even had some pilot projects for biomass generation in the food market. So there's a major food market in Lagos. It's called the Mile 12 Perishable Foods Market. Okay, and what happens is there's a lot of waste there. As you can imagine, the market where they sell perishable food. So there's a lot of waste that is generated from that market. You have rotten tomatoes, rotten fruits, and all that, you know, and all that usually would just go to the landfill and even cause more pollution. So now what they're doing is they're gathering up all that waste into biodigesters, which will now do whatever it does to the waste, and then the gas that is produced from that, they pass it into generators, which they now use to power cold rooms. Okay, so the cold rooms are there for people in the market who, okay, I didn't finish selling my things today, I don't want them to go bad by tomorrow, I want to put them inside the cold room. So I think they put them, you're allowed to put your things inside the cold room for a small fee. All right, so that's one way of using biomass. And then tidal energy is similar to hydro energy, but the difference is that this depends, it uses the movement of water bodies like the seas and the oceans. So, you know, those waves a lot of times come with a lot of force. Okay, so sometimes there are these constructions that are done, you know, such that that force is captured, used to power turbines, which then produce electricity. So who is doing what? So this talk about sustainable energy is not new, and a lot of big corporations have jumped on the bandwagon and are trying to do one or two things, you know, to make their own impact. So as you can see here, corporations like Microsoft, like Samsung, Apple, Tesla. Of course, we all know that Tesla are cars that use renewable energy alone. You know, they don't use petrol engines at all. And then we have Google, and then on the oil and gas part, you know, ironically, a lot of the oil and gas giants are also delving into renewables. I mean, I think they're forward looking, because if you are dealing with a resource that is finite, it only makes sense to start thinking ahead of, you know, what happens when this resource actually finishes. So we have companies like Total Energies, ExxonMobil, and Chevron also, you know, trying to make their impact in the energy space. In Nigeria too, even though it's a very few and far between, we have a few companies or a few organizations rather, that are also trying to do their lot in the renewable energy space. Okay. Very recently, the Nigerian bottling company also announced that they will be, they are working towards becoming a net zero company. So net zero simply means that it's either a company or a system or whatever it is, if it's a building or a system, whatever it is, that does not emit carbon at all. Okay, so okay, let's not say it doesn't emit carbon. Even if they emit carbon, they have found a way to offset their carbon footprint. And there are methods to that, even though those methods are now seen as questionable.
Hello.
Like
Hello.
For instance, there are some things called carbon trades.
Hello, Ma.
So what happens? Yes? You can't hear me?
I think we are looking at some point. Hello, doctor.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. I think we can hear you now. Just that
okay, did you lose me at some point?
Yes, yes.
Okay, can you remember where you lost me?
So you were talking about companies that and you're also making definitions on net zero, basically. But it's now clear now.
Oh, okay. So I was saying that Nigerian bottling company, had started the process of becoming net zero. They've given themselves some kind of targets. The second picture here is Nile University in Abuja, and if you can see, that on this building, the whole of the roof has been used for solar panels. Okay, so it means that a large chunk, if not all, of the energy being produced in this building, is from renewables. And on the right, this picture at the extreme right is a factory of the Nigerian breweries, who is also committing to becoming net zero very soon. So you see, a few companies here and there, and of course, this list is not exhaustive. So it means that there's still many other people that are doing things, in the renewable space. Now, this slide says, beware of greenwashing. So what does greenwashing mean? Greenwashing means that a person or a company or an entity comes out to say, we have now started doing this, we're using renewable energy but the truth of the matter is that what they are doing is either not as effective as they are making it to sound, or as they are reducing emission in one place, they are increasing emission in another place. It's just, for sometimes it can just be for because this is an urgent, it's like a global emergency. So there are a lot of benefits that come with saying that, oh yes, I'm on this bandwagon, I'm actually into renewables now, we are cutting down our emission. So sometimes companies begin to claim credit of what they are not actually doing. Okay, and that's greenwashing. Okay, so when you begin to portray that you are doing something that you are not, in terms of energy use and carbon emission, it's greenwashing. And there are many techniques that people use. Sometimes it's just the color. You go to a shop and you want to buy something. If you're someone that is very environmentally responsible, so you probably say, okay, I want to buy only products that have been environmentally responsibly made. Okay, naturally you are drawn to anything that is green, naturally. So once you see that the packaging is green, and they probably drew one leaf or two leaves on top, your senses may tell you that, oh, of course, this is a responsibly made item, but it may not be. It may just be a marketing gimmick. So you also need to be sure, as an advocate, when someone tells you, I am doing this, it's also your responsibility to be sure to check that they are actually what they say they are. Recently on LinkedIn, there was a debate, so the COP28, that's the climate summit I talked about, which is coming up next month in Cairo, the Coca-Cola has partnered with the government in Cairo to sponsor the program. Okay, so there was this big debate about how can they be sponsoring a climate summit when they are one of the world's biggest polluters. I mean, the PET bottles that Coca-Cola alone produces, okay, I'm sure accounts for a large amount of the total waste plastic that we have. So, it was a very big debate about they can't be the violators and the sponsors at the same time, blah blah blah. People kept on shouting, this is greenwashing, so that when the issues come up, they will say, after all, we sponsored the climate summit, So I was of a quite different opinion, because I was saying what I was saying was, you see, whether they sponsor that summit or not, they would still produce plastic. So if they want to sponsor it, let them sponsor it. I mean, if they're sponsoring, it means they're really involved. They're going to be involved in the summit. So they probably, it will probably make them more responsible. But what I'm just trying to say is that it could be that Coca-Cola is just sponsoring that summit for greenwashing. So we need to be able to understand when people are doing these things just for gimmicks or when they are genuine about it. So what can we do? What can we do? So basically, we'll talk about behavioral change. Of course, we ourselves need to change our behavior, okay? You cannot be talking about energy conservation when you are the person that put on their AC and goes out because you have a postpaid meter and you will pay what you will pay anyway. So you put on your AC, you go to work, you come back so that you come back to a cool room. No, okay? So you have to be very, very particular about energy conservation. Do 3 people living in a house need to go out in 3 different cars at the same time? Okay. If we're going in the same direction, can we not do carpooling? Okay. Can we not ask ourselves, move together in one car and move? So behavioral change, there are a lot of things that would have to change. We need to conserve all natural resources at all costs, not just energy. Water is another resource that, people waste on not without knowing the effect of what they are doing. I always like, every time I have the opportunity, I always like to state it that, they say 70% of the earth is made of what is water, okay? But a very minute percentage of that 70% is actually fresh water, okay? So fresh water is actually not a renewable resource. So we need to conserve it at all costs. And by conserving water, we conserve energy, okay? If you don't leave your tap running, you don't need to pump water, continuously. When you don't pump water, you are conserving energy. Okay. Then as an advocate, you need to learn about renewable energies. You cannot be advocating something you don't know. So if you need to study, if you need to research, if you need to attend seminars and workshops, attend them. But you need to be able to understand. Now, not all renewable energy sources work for everybody. Okay. So for instance, the geothermal energies is quite a very big, and complex process and system. So it may not be economically, and don't forget that when we talk about sustainable development, there must be a balance between the economic, the social, and the environment. So we also don't want to, keep the environment at the detriment of the economy. So you need to learn about the available options and which works best for each situation. Don't go and be proposing wind energy to a rural area, for instance. Okay, with which money? Yes. Then insist on more investments in renewables from leaders. That's supposed to be from leaders. Okay, for pressure groups like this, sometimes we get the ears of the people in governance. Okay, and these are things that we should tout to them continuously. Now, I know that this is an unpopular opinion, but I personally believe that the subsidies on fuel should have been removed yesterday, should have been removed since. And that money should have been rechanneled into renewable energies. Okay, because whether we like it or not, we're going to have to remove that subsidy one day. So the earlier we do it, the better. Let's get used to it. You know, we are a very resilient set of people in Nigeria. So let's do it and get used to it once and for all. And then we can now start channeling that money into, you know, funding renewable energy, building structures for renewable energy, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then also, you need to be a crusader for renewable energy. Of course, you're already advocating. So just take it a notch higher. Take it a notch higher. Do it better. All right, so I think that's pretty much it, Mr. Emmanuel. Let me know if there are any questions that anybody wants me to answer.
Wow, awesome. Thank you very much, Dr. Penny, for this insightful lecture. And despite the inconvenient situation, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. And the salient point which you just mentioned is, I think, the call to action. Yes, being a crusader for renewable energy and getting to learn more and the behavioral change. I would just quickly like to leave it to just 2 people alone and move to the next session for today. Those of us, maybe we have a question from those who are on Zoom, and participants that are on YouTube, kindly use the comment section to quickly drop your question. Those who are on Zoom, you can just one person who wants to ask a question, you ask the question directly. Okay, all right, thank you. This is Stephen from Kano. Adeniji, you can unmute your mic and ask the question.
Good morning, ma, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for the lecture. I really enjoyed it. So I have 2 questions, like 2-in-1 questions. So basically, number 1 question is, like, in Nigeria now, we know that we have a lot of solar. So I don't know what the federal government or the state government and other part of the government, what they are doing about tapping into the solar energy. Like in the north, for example, now, I don't know what they are doing. And I even explained to some people that since the north has a lot of solar, why don't they channel resources into harnessing the solar? Then the electricity should be channeled to other part of Nigeria until they can be able to match up. And the second question is, you talked about this Tesla car. Somebody was asking me that, is it possible for us to be able to afford such a car in Nigeria if we get to that point where we have to be using cars that are no longer using fuels? Thank you, ma.
Okay, so can I answer? Can I answer, Mr. Emmanuel?
Hello?
Yes, can I answer?
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Can anyone else hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma.
Yeah, okay, let me just answer your question. Okay, so about solar energy. So the issue with solar energy is, to be honest, we are seeing an increase in the use of solar energy. In fact, in this year, there has been a very large increase because, I mean, you know how many times the grid has collapsed this year alone. So a lot of people who could afford it have made that shift. They've made that move, you know, towards solar energy. But the problem we have with solar energy is because they're in the infancy stage in Nigeria, it is still very, very expensive. Okay. Yes, expensive or affordability is relative. What is expensive for me may not be expensive for the next person, you know, but generally compared to electricity from the main grids, you know, solar the install. So okay, so let's also put it in perspective. When we say expensive, we're talking about the installation cost, because on the long run, okay, operational costs, your savings in operational costs actually makes it cheaper, okay, because you have a solar system. It simply means you are spending less on fuel for your generators. You are spending less on your electricity bills, okay. So in the long run, your savings from all those utility bills actually makes up for the initial cost, but that initial cost is the problem. So as an advocacy group, another thing I would say is that, and that's part of what I meant when I say, let's study about the renewables and understand them. Another thing I would say is you should find methods. There are methods around these things. Okay, I usually say that when phones came to Nigeria, it was for the very few select elites, because it was extremely expensive, until structures were put in place to make it cheaper. And now everybody is holding a cell phone. So the same can be done for solar energy. It's just putting a structure in place. Okay, there's a whole estate somewhere is it in Vietnam or Philippines? A whole estate that was constructed with solar panels, at no extra cost to the buyers of the property. So what they did is that the company supplying the solar panels had a plan, for a period of time over which this money would be paid back, and then it will eventually become for the property of the house owner. So there are things like that can make the penetration better. And for your second question, sorry, can you remind me what the second question was?
I was talking about the cars that are running without fuel.
Oh yes, the renewables. So it's the same answer. The Tesla cars, the rechargeable cars. So the answer will still be the same with the last comment I made. So initially it will be expensive because it is a new technology in Nigeria. Okay, but once again, there are structures around it. There are people that sell cars on hire purchase now. So why can't the Tesla cars be sold on hire purchase? So there's structures there. They are just things you can put in place, to solve these things.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thank you, Doctor. I would quickly like to ask questions from our YouTube participants. I think we have 3 questions, but I have to summarize them. There is a question from Omar. He or she is asking that what's the contrast between tidal and hydro sources? Then we also have a question from Sunday Omeka. He asks that how can we regulate bush burning and its emission in rural areas? Is there a law guiding this? And the last question is from Kenneth. He asks that production of leather and plastic in Nigeria and indiscriminate disposal of these products contributes to flooding. What would be an alternative to it?
Okay, so for the distinction between tidal and hydropower, so like I said, while the tidal power uses the wave from, the seas and the oceans have these natural waves that come with them. So that's what the tidal power harnesses to produce, the force that powers the turbines that now produces electricity. Okay, so basically you find tidal energy in oceans, in larger water bodies. Now for the hydropower, sometimes what you are doing is you are channeling the power of a easier flowing body of water. So like a river, okay, like a river, but you are now capturing it. There's a whole construction around capturing the river to produce the force. So while the tidal energy is using the natural force of the waves, in the hydro energy, you are the one trying to produce that force through the use of a dam. So that's the difference. Bush burning, I don't know what we can do about bush burning in rural areas. Now, in the urban centers, there are laws against it, even though I still see people flouting those laws, but there are laws against bush burning. I know that in Lagos, for instance, there's a law against burning anything. Okay, so sometimes when you see people burning, it's probably at night or, but in rural areas, that may be very difficult to manage. Okay, so honestly, we all have to think about this together. I don't have any ready answers for that. Then on the question of plastics, and I think you said plastics and
production of plastic and plastics in Nigeria and its disposal, indiscriminate disposal of these products contributing to flooding. What would be an alternative path to it?
Once again, I'm throwing it back to the advocacy groups. Okay, it's a behavioral change thing. A little change here, a little change there. We will make an impact. But when you're changing, you're not just changing for yourself. You are insisting that the people around you change. When you find yourself, you are insisting, that, okay, there's a plastic collection place, for instance. Okay, it may be difficult to say, you want to be moving from house to house and say, don't drop this there, don't drop this there. But I believe that if we start making these small changes in our different places, we will make an impact. I don't think that we make enough, where that move is enough. Okay, so because sometimes you go to, well, in Lagos here, you go to some places where they have actually put a container which is supposed to be for plastics, and there's plastic everywhere around that container except inside the container, So it's not enough to just put the container there. There's also supposed to be monitoring, effective monitoring, intentional monitoring to make sure that people are actually adhering to those regulations.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Tenny. It's been a wonderful time and insightful one with you this morning. Thank you for the knowledge you've shared with us. And on behalf of the leadership of SDGs Nigeria, I really want to appreciate you. Thank you for the time. And we definitely know that over and over when we call on you, we are always, you always welcome our invitation. Thank you so much, man. I wish you a wonderful weekend ahead.
Thank you for having me. Have a lovely weekend.
And you too, ma. Dear participants, I believe we had a wonderful session on climate solutions and sustainable energy. Right about now, we'll be going straight to the last session, which is on circular economy, consumption, and production. And I must also recognize the facilitator for this session because he's an expert in various areas: renewable energy, agriculture, oil and gas, ICT. And we are so blessed to have Mr. Oluwafemi Abioye with us this morning. He's also the founder of Temela Food and Teas. For the next 1 hour, definitely I know that he has some other engagements which he will still be catching up with this morning. We'll be having Mr. Oluwafemi speaking on circular economy, consumption, and production. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Emmanuel, and I'm happy to be here. Let me show my face a little bit because I would like to take out the video so that we can conserve the bandwidth. That's just the only reason for taking out the video. So good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
So before I forget, let me quickly take out the video so that we're practicing what we say. My name is Oluwafemi, as introduced, and I'm the founder or the MD of Temela Food and Tea, a local tea production company in Nigeria, amongst other things that I do. So this morning we'll be speaking on circularity, that's circular economy, production, and consumption. And I must appreciate everyone that is on this program today, because what is most important is our awareness, our ability and readiness to seek for the relevant knowledge after we are aware, then the relevant knowledge of what to do and not what to do, because this is the most important. So like people used to say, or the people in the missionary will say, God will not make us just the hearer. God will make us also the doer. So, once we've acquired the knowledge, the next phase is to be the doer. And that is actually the stage at which we are, or I am, to speak for myself right now. So before we go into details of today's presentation, circular economy, we'll look at definitions, we'll look at what are the strategies for circular economy. Then we'll look at the theory of production and consumption. We look at the principles of circular economy. Then we look at production itself. We look at what are the 4 main concepts of circular economy. Then we look at examples of organizations. Then benefits of CE, which is circular economy. In subsequent presentation, someone asked for Nigerian perspective in this whole thing. So that is where slide number 9 was introduced, CE and Nigeria, what the Nigerian government is trying to do. That's slide 9 and 10. So 10 talks about the Nigeria's vision for attaining net zero emission. Then we look at the top greenhouse gas emitters in Nigeria. Seeing graphics, then we'll end the today's presentation. But I want to deviate a little bit from the usual norm that I want today to be engaging. I'll give more examples. I will make more references, and so that we can all understand circular economy in itself, what it's talking about. You know, we all know SDG, we all know the goals, we know what circular economy means, but how do we practice all these things? So once you get the concept, once you understand the concept, every other thing becomes easy. So what is circular economy talking all about? What is it all about? It's all about you saying either you're a consumer or you're a producer. That's the consumption and production. So whichever class you fall into, before you get in contact with those things, it could be resources, it could be production, you should first think, how would this thing end? Are we together? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that question should come to your mind. How will this thing end? Because everything about circular economy is that don't generate a waste that will end up in the landfill. Don't. So in any way, in any concept, you can do things that will not make you throw things in the landfill. That is circular economy. Is it to prolong the life of whatever you want to buy or you want to produce? Is it to turn one end of the product to another input of production of another product? Do we understand? Is it that when you finish the consumption, what happens to what's supposed to be the waste? So anything you're doing, anything you're producing, anything you're consuming, how do you prevent them from ending up in the landfill? Zero landfill. Let me say that. Zero landfill. So that is circular economy. So before I delve in, I love the way the former facilitator was talking about issue of climate and COP27 that I'll be holding next month in Cairo, because I was equally buzzed to give a comment from the UN organizer on these debates, as the madam referred to, about Coca-Cola. And we actually share the same view, because that was my view as well. You know, people were condemning, but I choose not to condemn. And in fact, my comment was that it is absolutely necessary to engage net defaulters in these whole debates. So if the likes of Coca-Cola, even if you look at some energy company, oil and gas company, Total and the rest of them, they are all saving their faces now by pushing all their legs into sustainability, you know, into saying, oh, we too are going to do this. I know a Total filling station in Lagos that was designed, in fact, in most times, it runs 24 hours on solar. It's along Mobolaji Bank Anthony Way. Except in few occasions or rare occasions where they need to use their, I think, their car washing machine, or maybe all these Lagos rain that are going to have rain for like 7 days a week or thereabout. That's the only time they default back to generator. If not, they remain on solar. So net defaulters should be carried along in this whole discussion, because if you're a net defaulter, by the time you make one big move, you are saving the planet. So also you're going to be a net contributor to saving the planet. So I just said, let me divert into that so that we all make this discussion broader. And I'll be citing examples too as to our companies and what we do, even the project we want to embark on, how we're bringing circular economy into the whole planning phase, because these must come from your planning before execution, like I said. As a consumer, before you buy, what do you have in mind? As a producer, before you produce, what are the things you design around this product? That one end of the product is going to be another phase of another product. So let me chip this in. If Coca-Cola is ready to become a circular economy organization, or we still don't have their blueprint into becoming a net zero organization by, I think they said 2050 or thereabout. So I've forgotten the exact year they quoted. I think it's 2050. So It could be a simple case of them doing a reward for every empty PET bottles. It's been done in some developed nations, Sweden and the likes of them. So there could be a huge reward into that. And Coca-Cola could just start a company that will be running on renewable energy or what have you, that turns those waste into some other useful material. I'm just thinking aloud for Coca-Cola. I'm not Coca-Cola. I don't even have any inroad into Coca-Cola, but these are what we need to talk about. These are what we need to do to say we are practicing circular economy. So let's look into circular economy, what it's all about. Circular economy is a change to the model in which resources are mined, made into products, and then become waste. So a circular economy reduces material use. So it reduces material use, it redesigns materials to be less resource intensive and recaptures waste as a resource to manufacture new materials and products. I've explained a few of these things. Then if you look at the right of the slide, you see a graphic there that talks from how you generate increased income. You generate increased income from saying cleaner production, use fewer resources. So let's give an example. I always cite an example of automobile, something that we all used to. We all know Benz 200. We know V-Boot 190, 230, and the likes of them. Will you compare them to Mercedes-Benz, the E-Series we have now, or the GL, whatever you have now? It's a no. You will not compare your Kia or your Elantra, your Hyundai that you have now, compared to the Hyundai you have in 1980. What are the major differences? Less use of material. The belief system then was that, oh, cars needs to be rugged. The body, you call them iron body. That's even what you call now when you see such cars. Oh, iron body. But they said, no, the iron doesn't need to be that. In fact, they realized that the thicker and the stronger the ions, the more the risk to the human when there's an impact. So what do? They make the iron less stronger, but they build safety around it. You have lots of airbags. A distant friend of mine had been involved in a ghastly motor accident some about 10 years ago, which I think is a special Acura legend or thereabout. The car was a total write-off, but this guy came out on hot because we realized that car has about 12 airbags. It's an American spec, about 12 airbags. And instead of the guy getting injured, it is the airbags that just protected him left, right, and center. So those are the things you put into consideration by using less material. So using less material at times doesn't mean you're compromising safety. So we need to know that. And you see, better service to extend lifespan. So whatever you want to produce, is it supposed to be a 2 years usage instead of 2 years? If you're putting circular economy into your planning phase, instead of making 2 years, can we make this in 5 years? Can we make it also 10 years? Those are the things that you bring on board. Then you collect at end of life. So like I said, the issue of Coca-Cola, imagine Coca-Cola designed a complete system whereby everybody is happy to take back their PET bottles to a collection center for a bounty reward. How would the whole thing be? You will just realize that you don't have waste. All these PET bottles, be it water bottles or soft drink, you won't have them dump in the landfill anymore. You yourself know that, if I collect a bag of this, even from my house, for example, I'll give an example. In my house, all the PET bottles, I make it a point of duty somewhere in my garage. We have bags there. We just dump them in the bags. My initial plan was, all this wishful thinking that, maybe in the last 3-4 years, because now I've started that practice for about 5-6 years ago. So I thought in about 4 years ago, I'll be able to pour sand in those collected bottles and turn it into a house, a farmhouse, or a structure in one of my farms. But those are wishful thinking. I don't even have that time. But what did I do with those wastes now? There are market people that I know that sell palm oil, or they rebottle all these things in small containers. And I just pack them. I always give it to them. So I become their supplier. I became their supplier, and they're always happy. There's a particular alaja among them that in every 2 weeks, she will give me a call. Sir, travel. Didn't you come to your farm? Because anytime I go to my farm, that particular woman is along the road to my farm, one of my farms. and I just pack a bag or two and I give it to her, and she's always very happy. So, so that means from my own house, what's supposed to be waste to dump in the drainage or dump in the landfill, I convert it to input into someone else selling products, selling granite oil, selling palm oil, and all those stuff. So, and that is what I do. Now, there's a young lady again that I mentored, that all that she does now is that she does those collections and use them to bottle the Izal she's making. She makes Izal and liquid soap. In fact, at times she comes to the office and say, oh, how many do you have in your office? And she picks and picks and picks and picks everything. And I'm always happy. So it goes again and say, recycle waste, reuse resources. Don't dump them. Look at what this whole thing can become again. When we get to the issue of our tea production company, I'll give another example there. Then he said non-toxic, long life recyclable, things that are not toxic, or prevent them becoming toxic. Turn them to a recycled materials. Turn them to another product, what they can become. There's somewhere in this Ibadan where I know a woman that is also a recipient of a Green Award, just like what our own company as well, that makes a giant Christmas tree from green PET bottles. And that alone attracted the consular to the US ambassador came to visit to see, oh, thank you for doing this in this your corner. That is corner on the way to money here. So again, that goes to show that there's no end to what you can achieve, both financially and recognition, if you practice all these things. So let's move on. So in strategy, we say a circular economy means rejecting the linear take, make, waste economy and adopting a regenerative model, using processes that restore, renew, or revitalize their own sources of energy and materials, and wasting as little as possible. Let me briefly explain this. In traditional production, let's take any bottling company, for example. All that they do is they produce PET bottle, or they take PET bottle from an outsourced company that produce for them, their customized PET bottle. They put in their liquid, that is a linear, they make their products, put in their liquid in, sealed it, it goes out. We consumer buys, after consumption, it becomes a waste. It's a linear economy, it's a straight line. But we're saying we can move from a system that will adopt regenerative model. I've bought a soft drink. I don't want to start mentioning names, so don't let us be killing a particular brand. So I bought a soft drink, I bought anything, I finished using it. It's also what I do in my house. I finish using it. I have clean water somewhere, and I say, put it back inside these empty bottles. They put it back in the empty bottle, and I say, store them in the fridge. And we store in the fridge. Because circular economy is also telling you that that particular thing that's supposed to become waste, don't spend more energy in turning it into another useful material. So you're not practicing circular economy if you gather those waste and you start doing blasting or burning to turn them into footmarks or turn them into something else. Because as you are solving a problem, you are creating another environmental issue. If you're going to convert, maybe you use DC burning or something where you just put a string of elements and the thing melted and you turn it into another product. But what circular economy preaches is that let the material retain its original energy, their own sources of energy. Don't dissipate more in turning it into another useful material, because while you're dissipating, you must be careful that you are not also destroying the environment. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
We are together, sir.
So, and the ultimate goal is for you to waste as little as possible. In fact, if possible, do not waste. So for you to understand it in graphics, you say The circular economy is a model of production and consumption, because that is where we're going to focus on, which involves sharing. So when we expand it, you see how it comes about. It involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing materials and products as long as possible. As long, we need to take note of that. The PET bottle, after I've consumed the soft drink, I've used it to put water in my fridge for as long as I can. Maybe when I get tired of them after 6 months or 3 months, then I turn the bottle into my garage. That goes back again into where the people selling palm oil or whatever. Part of what I've told my staff, if you're going back from the farm to buy things, go along with the existing bottles that you have, as long as possible. In this way, the life cycle of the product is extended. So in practice, it implies reducing waste to a minimum. So if you look at your right-hand side, you see the graphics from sources as you're sourcing your material. Then it goes into production. Then it is being sold. Then consumer buys. The first three talks about production. The last one with an icon of on button talks about consumer. You use. But after you use, what happened? You see the landfill is at the end. It doesn't end there. It moves to how applicable it could be. Is it to repair and you reuse again? Is it to reuse and sell again, come into the selling cycle? Is it to refurbish, come into the production, or recycle and breaks the chain of you getting from source and enters into your production cycle, and it continues like that. Now, let's explain this issue of sharing and leasing. Let's take, for example, the word collaboration. We all understand what the word collaboration means. It is in this part of the world that collaboration is not popular. What is popular in this part of the world is I, myself, and me, myself, and I. It is my office. It is my car. There are roads in the US where you have lanes meant for, during rush hour. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, it is so sad that this has not been practiced. If you live in Lagos and you fly Third Mainland Bridge, when you're going to work in the morning, you spend between 2 to 4 hours, depending on where you live. And you see that while you're going to Lagos, the road is extremely busy and tight. It is actually bumper to bumper. While the other lane of people coming to mainland is free. The same thing in the evening, it changes. When you're closing from work and you're going home, it becomes extremely busy going home. The lane going to Lagos becomes extremely free. So occasionally people start thinking, oh, all the theories, why can't they just take a lane or two from this other side and turn it to a fast lane for people going to work if it is in the morning and people closing in the evening? How would they separate cars that will pass through that place? Oh, should it be commercial vehicle that is conveying passengers? Should it be cars that had people like 3 or 4 in their vehicles? But practically in Nigeria, it has not been possible to be done. But there are places that personally I've seen in the US where there are reserved lanes during high traffic meant for people that has 3 or more people in your vehicle that you can move to. What are they telling you? Practice sharing. If that is along the route to your work, instead of 3 people taking 3 cars, 3 people can combine and say, look, because we need to pass that fast lane, let 3 of us ride together. It is practiced almost everywhere except this side of the world that is just about myself. Because you think it is less of you when they don't see you inside your car and you're in a commercial vehicle. But it is not. Let's look at leasing. Must the office be yours alone? When you don't need more than 1 or 2 offices. If you don't need more than 1 or 2 offices, why taking a duplex? Is it a show of wealth, size of company? And let me just tell us, when I was to start my power company in Lagos, what I did, I said, look, let's practice sustainability. And that was over 10 years ago. I said, you know what? Let's practice this. Who else is ready? Who can we team up with? And about 3 companies, we came together and we rented a duplex. What did we do? We share a lot of resources. We have a common receptionist. We have a common security man. And do you know, in the long run, it was business beneficial to all of us. Because when people are coming, when clients are coming, and they say, oh, where is your office? Say, this is my office. In fact, let me tell you what we actually do. What we do then is that once the other person has a client coming in, he will bring the client to come and visit the other 2 MDs, and he will turn us to his directors. He say, oh, see my other directors. And we'll say, oh, you're welcome, sir. You're welcome, sir. Talk to the MD. If it was my turn, I will also do the same and say, oh, sorry, you're welcome, but let me take you to other directors, and you see them. What comes to the mind of that person is, wow, this company is big, complex, as an office. But the person would not know that we are just collaborating. Instead of constructing, why don't you lease? Must you waste all your capital? You know, this has affected so many people in business, especially agribusiness. And I can tell you more in poultry production. Lots of people, you want to go into poultry, you have only ₦1 million. And all that you think of is, oh, okay, I will acquire a land. The land is 500,000. And I will do a small pen. By the time you're doing a small pen, you finish 500,000. In fact, 500,000 cannot even do a pen now. But for this sake of learning, let's just say the #1 million. And the ₦1 million is gone. You bought land, you built pen, and that's all. Then the person, maybe it took that person 2 years to gather 1 million, or 3 years, or 1 year to, so to say. What happened next? The person started looking. You know, and because we have this entitlement mentality, the person starts thinking, oh, I have an uncle now. My uncle should give me something. I have an auntie now. My auntie should give me something. In fact, my sister is married to one rich woman or rich man or whatever. Can't they help? You had forgotten that your 1 million, you could have started by saying, let's practice things like circular economy. Must I buy land? Must I build pen? Can I get to a community whereby someone has a pen that the person is not using or not fully utilizing? Can I lease part of it? At least, can I even have this learning phase? Can I turn my 1 million into 2 million and into 3 million? Before I now start thinking, okay, after I've made 2 million on my 1 million, can I look at my own permanent site and have a land of 500,000? Listen first. So that is what we all need to know and put into practice. So let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is talking about the economy. So what are the principles of circular economy? It's based on these 3 principles: designing out wastes and pollution. We've mentioned that. Anything you want to do, take out waste. Don't even think that this thing is going to end up in the landfill. How can you design your product out of landfill and not causing pollution? Right before production, at the designing stage of a product, you must have in mind what waste and pollution would come out of the product in its minimum possible forms. 2, the second principle, keeping products and materials in use. After the initial consumption and usage of the products, effective reuse of the products happens. Then regenerating natural systems. Recycled products don't end up in landfills, rather as input to another production, ensuring perpetual extension as long as you can use that product of the product life cycle. These are the 3 key principles of circular economy. Then, if you now want to narrow down on production, what do? Circularity is a simple concept. It means that a product is created with its own end of life, taken into account. Remember, I've explained this. Before you even produce, you must sit down. What is the end of this product? Is it phase one? It's supposed to go into landfill. What can we do? After it's been consumed, what happens to the product? Throw into landfill? No way. What can we do? How can we extend it? So in a circular economy, once the user is finished with the product, it goes back into the supply chain instead of the landfill. And like I said, the motto of the circularity movement in a nutshell is waste not, want not. So you don't even waste it at all. So we don't want a waste. What are the concepts, the four main concepts of circular economy? The circular economy is a system solution framework that tackles global challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, waste, and pollution. In fact, under SDG, if you look at your 17 SDG goals, circular economy comes under about 7 SDG, SDG 6, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, then I think 15. So that's about 7 SDGs that once you practice circular economy, you've achieved. So what are the 4 main concepts? How we manage resources. You need to use minimum as possible without compromising safety or security. How we make the products, how we use the products, what we do with materials afterwards. So how we manage resources, how we make the product comes under production. Consumption, how we use the product. You and I need to say, what do we do with the materials afterward? So let's make it practical. There are organizations right now in the world that practice circular economy. So, and we give you the global names and the local names. One of the local names is our own company, Tamela Food and Tea. So in the course of this presentation, we will show you how we adopt circular economy and the benefits so far. So basically, once you practice once you practice circular economy, what comes to you as a gift? 5 benefits. It regenerates natural system. In a circular economy, product is produced regeneratively. It combats climate change. Even without you announcing, without you saying anything, you're saving the climate. It improves access to innovations and innovative production of goods and services. It makes you more innovative because you keep thinking and thinking and thinking. And it supports local communities and creates more jobs. Because by the time you save waste, by the time you save money, what happens? You expand easily and you create more jobs. Then it saves money and create value. All these, we've started seeing the benefit as a company, Tamela Food and Tea. Let me now delve into it. What we do, we produce herbal tea, 4 main products for now. The 5th one is organic honey. How do we stumble into production of honey? We were vast in cash crop production. We were doing cashew plantation. And along the line, I raised a suggestion. These are cashew plantation. We need bees, pollinators. We need pollinators. So as you're starting the farm, you're thinking of, we need pollinators. How can we get pollinators? And you say, okay, let's start doing beehives. So to our surprise, we're planting cashew and we're looking at where are existing trees that we can put beehives in. I started constructing beehives and we're putting there. Unfortunately, then it looks as if it's not going to work because it took us about 1 year before those boxes got populated. But can I shock you? 4 years down the lane, the cashew we planted 4 years ago have started fruiting. And they fruit better because we've created a house for the so-called pollinators that are wild pollinators that are supposed to be wandering inside the forest. So now what happens? Our cashew produce more. And what I grew up to know is that when you enter cashew plantation, if you're not careful, bees are going to sting you, because bees are always inside cashew plantation and they build their hives inside or on top of the trees. So if you walk anyhow carelessly, or you go and pull a branch of cashew anyhow carelessly, swarm of bees will just attack you. In our own total farm, there's nothing of such. Why? Because we had built a duplex for them somewhere. So they don't need to wander and build houses on trees. You know, you're innovative, you're solving problems. Now, from the beehives, we started making more money. In fact, the highest money we've made on the farm itself now is from the honey, I must confess. Just by practicing sustainability and circular economy. So what are the other 4 products? Organic products. We do scent leaf and ginger tea. We all know what scent leaf is. Our female can't do pepper soup or cook without it. We do lemongrass and ginger tea. Lemongrass is one of the major things when you are fighting COVID and you want to fight cold and flu. Ginger is one of your resources, local resources or herbs to fight cold and flu or nasal infection. Then we do bitter leaf tea. This bitter leaf tea, I make bold to announce it, to say, oh, it is until when we stumble on this innovation that I realize that this is the secret of Igbo's good health. Without, being sarcastic or anything, an average Igbo man feels that he's more healthier than any other person, feels stronger. But they themselves, they don't know the secret. The secret is in the bitter leaf they consume all the time. It's almost in all their soup. If you take bitter leaf, you can't be short of blood. You can't be anemic. Bitter leaf solves insomnia. So even to us, you can buy, you can plant. So by the time you plant bitter leaf and you start squeezing and you're drinking occasionally, you just realize that you're getting more healthier. So the money you spend in hospital, you're saving it for something else. So because we're determined to say whatever we're going to produce is going to be health beneficial. And the 4th of our herbal tea is the Sasop tea that has anti-cancer properties. It is the high alkaline leaves that fights cancer. So those are our products. So number 1, the product we've gone into is not just anyhow product. Now, how the circular economy comes in, we start discussing with our people to say, oh, especially the bitter leaf tea. They said, oh, you see this bitter leaf, especially people in the diaspora, they said, once they finish consuming the tea from the tea bag, they burst it open, pack the bitter leaf, pack it inside a plate and put inside their freezer. Anytime they want to cook their ogbono or do their pepper soup, they remember that they have a bitter leaf in the fridge or freezer and they sprinkle it. They've extended the lifespan of that product. Now, currently, we produce our bitter leaf, we package it in pouch, which from next year, we're going to introduce the paper pack. Why do we want to do the 2? Because we want consumers, because it's a feedback we got from consumers. The feedback is that, oh, because your production is still at a lower capacity, these pouches are useful. Once they finish, because it's now the innovative part of it, we don't just use anyhow pouch, we use a resealable pouch. So you open it, you take out the tea bags, you finish the tea bags, you turn the pouch into what you use in your kitchen. Your Maggi, that if you buy your Maggi and you keep inside your wardrobe or your locker, kitchen cabinet, and it becomes soggy, instead of becoming soggy, you just put it inside the pouch, you seal it. Your grounded pepper, your whatever. So these are the feedback we're gonna say, okay, let's do it this way. So let it be a resealable pouch that once you use it, you can use it to pack other things, keep in your kitchen cabinet or put inside your fridges. Innovations. innovative right from production. And by the time we scale up production, we know that some of these things might become unused waste. So instead of ending up in landfill, we're going to introduce what? A paper pack that is biodegradable. And it's going to save you money. It has saved us money. Now let's look at what comes with it again that we did not even prepare or plan for. When we're setting up this factory in Ibadan, we just felt, oh, something came up during construction phase and some other works within the factory. PHCN people, we all know them in Nigeria. They kept bringing bills. And we said, no. You knew that we're not using this property for like about 2 years, and they insisted on us offsetting the bill. A minute, please.
Hello, sir. I think we are listening at some point. Hello, sir. If you can hear me, I think we can hear your feedback, both the visuals and the audio as well. We can only see your slides up.
Yeah, sorry for that. An urgent call came in.
Okay. All right, that's fine, sir. Dear participants, please let's endeavor to drop questions and comments. You can use the comment section to drop the questions while Mr. Oluwafemi attends to the questions as soon as it's done with his.
Okay, so let me quickly wrap up in the next 5 minutes so that we can call it a day. So, like I said, because I need to also say this to encourage us. So what came after all these of our own planning and production in our own small corner? So after the PHCN saga, I just felt, please take away the wires. I don't even want. And we drop renewable energy on the factory and we run on a net zero facility. Little did we know that people are watching. And within a few months in production, running into a year, we were nominated for an award. And we got an award, African Green Business Award. So when you do all these things, you don't know how you will get to. You don't know the level. So it is always beneficial to practice it. Practice what you've learned, practice what you say. Let it be part of you. So if I can quickly just wrap up, let's talk about Nigeria. Nigeria itself at the COP26 in Glasgow, they've committed the country into possibly becoming a net zero by 2060, even though the global target was 2050, but Nigeria at least has said by 2060. And they highlighted things they're going to do year by year on how to reduce the greenhouse emission. So by 2050, Nigeria is a country that will be of low carbon. You know, and by that time, they said they must have reduced the emission by 50%. So they gave this for us to see the net contributors of greenhouse gases in Nigeria. And I was shocked to see agriculture. So you see forestry there, where someone mentioned bush burning, you know. So and agriculture too is a net contributor. So we all need to be engaging in these kind of discussions and forum so that people will know what to do and what not to do. You see industry, electricity, transportation, you know. So, and again, in summary, this is what circular economy is all about. The source of your materials. When you produce, you sell as consumer, you sell as producer, you use as a consumer. What happens? You repair, reuse, refurbish, recycle, continue to use in an extensive manner so that that thing did not end up in a landfill. So back to these graphics, this is a much more complex graphics of production and consumption of circular economy than some of the references of where those materials are pulled up from. And I say thank you. So let's welcome the questions so that we can wrap up for the day.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Rafemi. It's indeed a great session, circular economy. I know that the practice of circularity is something that we just have to keep to each and every day, and we have to be intentional and disciplined with that. So quickly, participants on YouTube, can you use the comment section to drop your questions? While those of us that are on Zoom, we can just raise our hand while we ask our question. Okay, Gift from Nasarawa State, you can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Emmanuel. Good morning, Doctor, for the class. My question is this. I think you were speaking in that direction, but you later jumped towards it. I was hoping you say something on it. You talked about after, recycling a particular thing, and you get to a point where you would not, you will not be able to use it again. How do you go about it? For example, the bottled water you give to all these people selling red oil and groundnut oil. So what happened after we go to the market, buy this oil from them, and after using it, what do we do with the bottle?
Okay, this thing is individual thing. Like I said, the skills we are acquiring is important. Let's talk from consumer angle. You've gone to the market, you bought the honey. What do you do with it? So if you go back into your house, instead of you buying small honey, do you want to start buying big and pouring it into those small containers again and keep in your house for as long as possible? Or there are other liquids you have in your house you want to be putting in it. Is it that you bought Izal from a big jar and you want to pour into small container to distribute into the toilets and bathrooms in your rooms? So do you understand? There are limitless to how you can innovate. But to the organization itself, in 2023, we're going to introduce a reward system. Just like what I said about Coca-Cola. We are going to introduce a reward system whereby we would take back what's supposed to be a waste to our consumers. And part of what we're planning is that, so what we're doing is our products, because somebody is even asking that where can they get this product? It's a new product in a way. It's in few pharmacies around your state. And we have distributors in about 3-4 states right now, even in Sokoto and Abuja. We have distributors. So we're encouraging people to be a distributor. So, and part of what we're going to do in 2023 is we also turn those distributors to collection agents of the materials, because we ourselves, we're going to design a way of how to effectively convert it into another material in a sustainable manner. Like I mentioned, it's going to be a DC system whereby you have a solar power connected into an element, heating element. So instead of you burning coal or burning charcoal or something, so we're going to use a DC system to reconvert this product, because we're not going to use that old product to bottle a new honey for you. That I can assure you, we're not going to use it. So we'll convert it into a useful product that will move on. If I might just quickly say this, we're planning to set up a new project, Gari processing plant. In the last 6 months, we've been discussing and reviewing how the production is going to be. We've been visiting Gari production factories, both from the most ultra-modern to the least. How are they doing it? What is happening to their waste? We've been to a Gari factory whereby their waste is being converted into energy. We've spoken to the owner. He's actually a director in a commercial bank in Nigeria. We're debating how he's going to introduce us to the company that converted his waste into energy. At the same time, to us, for example, still this morning, we narrow down to 2 sites we want to list. We're looking at the advantages and disadvantages as it relates to sustainability, as it relates to social circular economy. Now, let me shock us. In between this whole discussion, the committee that was set up to look into this from the agri-cooperative that we own, we started looking at, what happened to cassava peels? And to us, it is mind-blowing to discover the extensive research of IIT on cassava peels. And one of us, a lady, said, her mom even rear animal in a small manner, and she buys cassava peel of custard plastic at the rate of 100 naira. Let me just shock us. I did a rough and dirty calculation, and I realized that the money we're going to realize from cassava peel is going to offset the cost of lease of those lands. Isn't that wonderful? Thinking of waste to wealth. At the same time, we look at, how do we talk to these people that convert the cassava waste into sources of energy? So that answers 2 questions in a row. The person asking for where to get the materials, we have distributors. If you get it across to us, we can redirect you, and you yourself, you can buy. We'll send it to you wherever your location in Nigeria through a logistics company. And as to the waste itself, it's an individual thing. You yourself, as a learner of sustainability and circular economy, you should also be a doer. What do you do with the product as a consumer? As a producer, I've told you our style. And let me even extend this to you as a producer. We have an affiliate of people that are into recycling in your states. In fact, one of the most established plastic manufacturing company in Nigeria, we've been there, that's Black Horse. Black Horse practice extensive recycling of products. We've been there to have this discussion. We're just a small company, but we've been to places to see where our waste can be converted into another useful material that becomes an input to them. So once we collect, what do? We have limitless things to do with the waste once we collect it. In fact, it's not a waste. It is a product that is going to serve as input into another phase of production. So did I answer your question?
Yes, sir, you've answered me. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much for the wonderful response. We have a question from Kenneth. He asks that how can Nigerian government partner with renewable innovator to help in over dependent of manufacturer in hydropower? So I think he's talking about partnership with those who are already having innovations in manufacturing of hydropower. Then there's another question from Adeleke. He said, how can we establish a recycling factory? Just simple basic steps to establishing and setting up a recycling factory.
Okay, let's start from the last question. What I will first say is that this generation is called Generation X or something. It's a generation that everything is in Google or YouTube. I can challenge you if you go to Google or YouTube and say steps to establishing a recycling business. It is there. Or even if you say proposal on how to establish a recycling business, I can bet you it is available online. But what I know is that there are lots of recycling activities. It depends on the area you want to focus. I know that the most expensive one could be the metal, people that turns all these scraps and what have you into iron rods. That could be the most expensive aspect of recycling. While the cheaper aspect of recycling is paper. There are lots of people that convert paper into asbestos and the likes of them, just more additive, and they convert it into paper, into asbestos, sealing and the likes of them. While the most popular is all these are PET bottles that they convert. It's also different levels. Some just gather the PET bottle, they cut it into chips, and some export it. I think I had mentioned before, if you go online and you Google such chips from Nigeria, it's considered one of the best all over the world. That our waste material is considered one of the best. It's also an export material for you, if you must know. So while some other people goes beyond just converting into chips, what they do again is they mix it into other products. I just told us about black horse, and there are a lot of people that I know they convert it into useful materials like plastic plates, carpets that you use in your houses, floor tiles, and the likes of them. So, but for you to actually go into it, just simply go to Google or go to YouTube and look for, there are different I've mentioned, look for where you want to play. And part of what you can do in business now, this is a business lecture now, before you go into anything, look at the market. So you must know that what I want to produce, it's going to be in request by XYZ company. So as you're looking at the area you want to focus on, look at who takes your output as input into their own production. And once you're able to strike that, then the sky is your limit. For example, if you go to Google and you check in Kenya, it's because of the reason why I want to start rearing rabbits. Rabbits in Kenya, it's an expensive venture. Expensive in the sense that they are happy doing it because they discovered that urine from rabbits is one of the best organic fertilizer. So you now see people keeping rabbits like something else, collecting their urine, storing them in 20-liter jerry can, and selling to vegetable farmers. So it is limitless, like we said. The innovation, the things that comes out of it is limitless. Now, if I go to the hydropower and the various innovations around renewable energy and hydropower and the likes of them, what I can tell you is that, see, stop looking at government. Government alone cannot do everything. It's part of the reason why, if I must tell this gathering, it's part of the reason why we set up a cooperative, an agri-cooperative. The agri-cooperative is 1 year old, and we're now thinking of the little money we've gathered from all over, how do we convert it into a more useful venture? And we want to set up a Gary processing plant because we have farms, we have lands, so the lands brought people together and people started planting things, including cassava. So our cassava is going to be almost 1 year, sooner or later. So what happens to the cassava? Should we just sell cassava raw? Or should we take this cassava into a processing cycle and make more money? And you know that in agribusiness, the more you process, the more your return on investment. So that is what is leading on into this. So why did we set up this cooperative? Because one, we were tired of patronizing the bank for loans. And we felt, let us look inward. So looking inward is the watchword. And I must tell you that, see, in Nigeria, the banks that seems not supporting you, by the time you look inward and you start growing your business, it is these same banks that will be rushing you. And they will be begging you to say, come and take our facility, come and scale up your business. But at the beginning, they will not be there for you. So the same thing goes to all these innovators at the renewable energy level. If you innovate, is it just paper innovation? Is it practical innovation? If you do practical innovation, and for example, there are a lot of competitions and innovation labs here and there that you can showcase your product. Be mindful not for people to take or steal your intellectual property. So you need to be mindful of that. But there are a lot of places you can showcase your innovations. Even banks are looking for innovators. So for example, if you innovate something that is close to a farm, close to a village, close to your house, can you power somewhere with it? While I was in Oyo State, I look at a guy's innovation in Maiduguri, and it's everywhere on the internet. They started making these small buses into renewable energy bus. So forget all the Tesla and big names we're talking about. Someone in Maiduguri has converted bus that they call Korobe in the southwest. You know, this small mini bus. He converted into a renewable energy vehicle. And from one that he did, he moved to 3, he moves to 4. And on a long stretch of Maiduguri road, a particular road, it is only his boss that applied the place now. And it's becoming commercially viable for him. So anything you're doing, don't be shy to discuss. Don't be shy to project it. And because this is your generation, X is a generation that believe in what they see. So it's not just theory. So once you do it, showcase it. Is it to power your house? Is it to power your farm? Is it to power a rural community? You know, why I keep mentioning farms and rural communities, that these are what the international communities quickly noticed, because that is the area they want to liberate. So anything you've done, or you know people that have done, the internet is there for you. It's a borderless community. And you'll be shocked. I was reading a report one day that someone in Nigeria did maybe a energy-powered bicycle or motorbike, and eventually landed in Germany. A car production company in Germany just took him there from, I think, Owerri or thereabout. So the internet is there for you. Just be careful that what you're doing is valid. It will withstand test of time. If you need improvement, there are a lot of people that are ready to improve for you. Some years back, I knew of an organization, let's call the name MTN. MTN threw it open to even power companies, to universities. Come up with any innovative solution that can generate power. And they were funding those research. Why? Because energy is the heartbeat of their business, and they want to reduce cost. So I can bet you, if you do anything that is worth the while, even the banks, do you know how much is diesel now? Do you know how people are crying because of diesel? Almost all Nigerian banks reduces their closing time. Some that have gone to 5 p.m. I think the likes of UBA and Co. They've all reduced back to 3 p.m. Energy management. So don't limit anything you've done. Just project yourself. For example, the convener of this program, they are there to showcase. If you do anything worth the while, you can share with them. University of Ibadan is adjudged the best in Nigeria. And they have international affiliates. They have links to foreign organizations. By the time they project you once or twice, you'll be shocked at which people will come to your aid. So with this little, I know I've even I've spent more than necessary, but I'm happy doing this so that we can all see the usefulness and the secret benefits in return to when you do sustainability or you practice circular economy.
Yes, absolutely, sir. And we sincerely appreciate the points you've really shared with us this morning. I really don't know. Okay, I have to take it, but please, State Rep, that Adeniji, please, can you please ask your question in 30 seconds so that we can end the session, please, before 11:30 or thereabout.
Yeah, I don't know. If you want to share my contact with them, you can please go ahead and share the contact. The Glow number, it's for WhatsApp chats, while the Airtel number is for voice call. But most times, I may not pick calls because I'm mostly maybe in the farm or where the network is poor, or might be in a meeting just like this one. So the WhatsApp chat is always the best for me.
The best for you. All right, sir. That's fine, sir. Thank you so very much, sir. All right, Adeniji, please kindly ask your question briefly.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity, sir. Just like you said about sharing ideas and still innovating, because I've experienced something like that. So now my question is, sir, please, where can we get, like, maybe let's say a fund or financing if somebody has an idea to start a business, just like you said, and that has to do with sustainability, farming and everything?
Okay, like I had said before, I shared a life experience with you, how we put ourselves together to form a farmers cooperative society to solve a funding problem. So enough of government. There's nowhere in the world that government solves all their problems. Even when government thinks they solve those problems, such system collapse. That is the communism. So where I'm going is this. Banks are there for you. I know of lots of solutions or products in banks that support such innovations. GT Bank does some competition occasionally on it. I know of Sterling Bank. They've done few things in that direction, and they still have products in that direction. And at different point in time, CBN has all these intervention funds through Bank of that NISA Microfinance Bank. So if you go through NISA Microfinance Bank, they does all those things. I know that Bank of Industry occasionally do. So between Bank of Industry, CBN, and the other banks, I know that they have all these loans for young entrepreneurs or young innovators that they may say, oh, you bring your NYC discharge certificate as collateral, and they give you loan. But above that, what I've said, what I've explained is the simplest way. Whatever you think you've innovated, how can you showcase it? Is it to power a room? Is it to power a house? Is it to power a bicycle? Is it to power, just think of anything. Is it that somebody is making popcorn machine by the roadside and the popcorn machine is always being used, powered by generator, and your own innovative solution is powering that popcorn machine? Can you just make a clean video of it? Can you push it on the internet? You will know when you power one popcorn machine and it's going to become an innovative solution for you. For example, let me share this with you. We're involved with one of the biggest food chains in Nigeria. I don't want to mention the name, but one of the greatest problems they are facing is that their retail food box, you know, that thing like a show glass that they put meat pie, donuts, and the likes of it. It takes energy of 2 kW, that's 2 kilowatts, because it's rated 2,000 kilowatts. And our recommendation to them is that, can you guys get innovators, either to power this thing with DC, or people that can reduce your 2,000 kilowatts to about 200 watts. That's a challenge I just throw out to you. If anybody is able to introduce that, I can tell you, I'll just take you straight to this giant food company in Nigeria, and voila, the rest is history.
Wow.
I'm being serious about it, because they started having outlets, and in their outlets, they have 2 of these. And for them to use generator, they are spending, the money is running into several millions of naira in a year. And they've done solar solutions. The people that did solar solutions for them, they did crap, and it's not working because they underspec. So they called my company, and we spec'd for them, and we told them, oh, if you want something sustainable, you need to spend XYZ millions of naira. This is the details bill of material. However, we gave them a recommendation. This aspect, can you work on it? If you just work on these 2 items, you will reduce your energy consumption by like 80%. They are ready, but I'm not ready to innovate in that space because my hands are full. So whatever you've done, the CBN is there through their bank of, the bank they use is called NISA Microfinance Bank. You can walk into any NISA. If you go any state you are, go to the CBN in that state and ask them for the NISA office. They are always together. So it's either they're on the ground floor or just somewhere adjacent, but the NISA Microfinance Bank is always there. So you can go there and say you want to see all their loan portfolios, the one that speaks to innovations they have on renewable energy. It is there. The banks too, they power such innovation. But above all, this generation is Generation X. Whatever you've done, present it well, package it well, push it to YouTube, push it to Google, and before you know it, the sky is your limit. I have shared before, Mr. Emmanuel is aware of 3 or 4 young ladies in this or your state that won 60,000 naira grants to start a recycling business. They just did a wonderful presentation and slides. It is all these Generation X babies. And they won the second prize in Africa. The first prize was $100,000, and they came second with $60,000. So keep trying, keep pushing your innovations, then keep talking to people like Oga Emmanuel, that they are deep in this sustainability. They can as well help you organize. For example, just a suggestion, Oga Emmanuel and their team and their profs and whatever can organize a competition one day and say, innovative challenge in energy management or renewable energy. And they will write letters to all these companies and whatever. You will be shocked that they will sponsor the program, because everybody needs a breakthrough. Let me share this with you. I saw something on Google, which I quickly went to go and document. They generated energy using 2 spark plugs and a magnet. 2 spark plug, copper wire, just coiled together, and a magnet, and it lighted a bulb. I saved the video because I must practice it. And if that truly works, I'll just go and deploy in my farm to start with. So these are, so do you understand? So there are a lot of things you can do to generate attention once it's worth the while. But let me just sound this note of warning. Whatever you generated, it is not automatic that people will appreciate it or people will adopt it. But don't get tired.
The process.
Don't get tired of the process. If they shout you down, continue again. You can read history of the Rockefellers, read history of the Ford people, read history of the owner of this fast food in US. What's the name? That failed several hundred of times. Couldn't even gain job and started hitting money at 70-something. Or is it the history of Alibaba you want to talk about? Go online, go and read about Alibaba. He failed and failed and failed. They told him he cannot even be good enough for the US system. Then he went back into his country, haven't gained all those knowledge. That is one thing people don't understand about this country, Nigeria. We have the population. Your generation is a jackpot generation. I didn't say people should not jackpot, but this country has population. Right, so whatever you do, just know that you have population on your side. You have markets. Do you understand? So, or is it the story of Arnold Schwarzenegger you want to talk about? They told him he can never be good in American movie industry because he has assets. At the end of the day, somebody wanted to do a movie and they said, even this your accent self sounded like a machine, as if a machine is talking. And that became an advantage. So I just said, let me just chip this in. So don't get discouraged that, oh, your innovation, they turn it down, you do this. Yes, it should be a call for you to go and do more, innovate more, twinkle here and there, and don't get tired. The sky is the limit. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rafemi. This has been not just training alone, another mentorship session indeed, and really appreciate every part of it. And I can assure you that the entire listener are going to make due use of the knowledge you've shared today. And these are people that you are going to thank you so much on behalf of the leadership of SDGs Nigeria. Really want to say a big thank you for the time, and we are so glad that we didn't miss this session because a lot of things came up, but still you could find the time to facilitate the session. Really appreciate you over and over again. Thank you so much, and wish you a wonderful weekend ahead, sir.
Thank you. God bless.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. All right, dear participants, I believe it's been a wonderful day and a long one indeed. We just have to do everything very fast so that we can end the call as soon as possible. Just for us to, basically, we have to attend to one or two things as regards the community development project, on a school project, but I would like to share this information with us, and which is very, very important. Please, the assessment date is Friday, 21st of October. That's next week, Friday, 11 a.m. So the assessment is going to come up in a daytime, not at the midnight or not in the evening this time around. Let's ensure we are prepared towards the assessment, and it's cut across all what we've been taught during the masterclass session and all other resources that have been shared with us. let's try as much as possible to have an advanced learning on what we've learned. Yeah, there is nothing, you can't teach what you don't know. And this is part of what is going to prepare us ahead to become development experts in the years to come. And secondly, the Honey School project submission day, it's going to be closing today. It's very important. Each and everyone put down a name of the school which you want to work with. I have been getting messages from various people, the program managers too have been getting messages from various people as regards issues regarding day visiting schools, and they are not being accepted. We are not asking you, the structure of the program is drop the name of the school you are to work with. They are going to give you, on a good day, you are to go with the letter even before you go to the school. So even when you are introducing yourself at first and that, okay, I'm so person and I want to do this and this XYZ with the school, and this is the motive, this is why I'm here. It's very important for you to have a formal and official backup. And that official backup is the letter that is coming from the organization, which has been prepared. But it's very important each and everyone submit the name of the school. And we see situations whereby, I think I also clarified this some weeks back, that it's very important that we don't have two advocates running in the same school, except maybe I have not seen any sort of situation whereby we only have a school in just a local government or in just a community. So it's very important. Let's see and let's ensure we meet up with that deadline. Then secondly, the deadline for state proposal submission is 28th of October, which is the last Friday of this month. It's very important for us to ensure we meet up with deadlines. And all of our deadlines will be shared with us. The program managers are going to share all of that deadline with us, because when it comes to project execution, when it comes to reports, it's very important we get prepared ahead of time for all these. We have a short time to this project to end. We just have October and November to run the project before the last month of the year commences. I'm still going to entertain questions across the two platforms, Zoom and YouTube, so that I can respond to it based on what the management have structured out. Then please, I also want to talk about the advocacy project. Let me tell you that it's very important for each and everyone to participate in both the Honey School project and state advocacy projects. In a situation whereby you missed the state advocacy project, that means you don't have a score, which is 25%. And for the two phases, phase one, it's very important for you to have a minimum of 30%, and phase two, it's important for you to have a minimum of 30%. So take, for example, for the Honey School project, you have 20%. That means, and you didn't participate in the state projects, that means you don't have any score, and you have a total score of 20% for the advocacy projects, which is also going to affect your grading and will affect your certification. So it's very important. I see situations whereby, unfortunately, someone might not be able to participate due to a reason. You might have been participating in the planning phase, but when you get to the execution, you didn't participate. Please inform your state lead. It's your state lead. The state leads are going to tell us the people that have participated in the state projects. Those are the people, the screening team, those are the people that are going to grade. So please, let's ensure we do this accordingly. And okay, let me just welcome one or two questions while we also attend to those who are on Zoom. All right, this is Gift. You can unmute your mic and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel. Please, you talked about the deadline for the state program, but I've not seen the link. I only saw the link for personal projects.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. There is a submission link that will be shared with you this weekend. That's where you are going to submit the proposal for state projects. And that's where you are also going to, that's the same link you are going to submit your individual report. And that's the same link you are going to submit your state report. So the submission link will be shared. The program managers will share with you over the weekend. I believe I've provided answer to your question. All right.
Report what?
You said what?
You said the other links that will use it to report for other. I said report.
All right, I'm listening.
You said the link for the state project that will also use the link to report for other projects. And I'm asking, what are the other things you are reporting?
Okay, for the Own a School project, you are also each and everyone are going to write a report on what they did, and your report should also entail the picture of those who you train, your engagement with them. And the state project, you're also going to submit a collective report for the state. And I think, okay, the project manager are going to share the reporting template with you. There's a template you have to follow. Yeah, they will share the reporting template with you this weekend, and both for individual projects and also state development projects. So it's that same link you are going to use to submit everything you are going to be submitting for the course of the program.
Oh, okay. Now,
thank you. All other hands that. All right. Okay. From Kasina Muhammad, you can ask your question, please.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Emmanuel, and the other people who have invested their time and resources towards training this important program. We really appreciate. My question is that some of my team members are students, and considering the fact that ASU have called off strike, one of my team members is complaining that he has already chosen a school, and there is possibility of him leaving Kasna and his schooling in Kano. Can he change the school that he has selected before? And if he's going to do that, is he going to use the same link that he has submitted the previous school, or will there be a provision of another link to do that? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mohammed, for that wonderful feedback. I think it's something I also need to provide information on as discussed by the management. We have some students participating on this program, both undergraduate and postgraduate students. Definitely many might be traveling from next week, and which will result to day changing states. It's very important for you to join the new state which you are going to take. For example, now the man that will be going to Kano State, please kindly ensure you join Kano State group for the state development project, since you are now also going to be in Katsina for the period of October and November. So for the Own a School project, try as much as possible to identify a new school in Kano State, and you are also going to use that same link to provide the new name of the school which you are working with. So we've received communications and notification from various people that said they later changed the name of their school, which they submitted earlier. Okay, all right. I believe I've answered your question. I also want to, our rep from Plateau State, please kindly unmute your mic and ask your question, sir.
Good morning, sir. Really appreciate the conversation so far. And I want to ask about owning the school project. There's this situation where so many schools have told us that we need to bring them the letter first. But how do we ensure that even when we take the letter to them, they will still accept us? Because yes, the deadline has been reached for us to submit, which is today. But after this deadline, if the school receives your letter and then later rejects you, because I've had this situation before, after I'd taken letter to a school and then we've gone far, and then before I start the project, I got called and they told me that they don't need me to do the project in their school anymore. So we have this kind of situations that could arise. Is there room for us to be able to reapply again, to go out to a different school, even when this deadline for submission has passed? This is one situation that my members in my states have.
Yes, definitely. But it's due for you to communicate with the program manager in that regards and let them know about it. And I also want to share some experience when it comes to approaching schools or organizations. Even without you going with a letter, you can decide, let's assume that after this program, you want to establish more project around secondary schools, primary school, university, and you really want to run it, and you want to run advocacy projects for the next 8 years, definitely there is a way you present yourself and they will understand the language of what you are saying. I read a message from one of the advocates. I can't even remember the state, and the school said they don't know about SDGs. They are not aware about SDGs. So if there's any school if there's any school leader or school administrator that is not aware about SDG by now, it's very important we summon them and to action whereby we can engage. It's even that school we need to engage more. So it's something that we really need to present ourselves more formally and beyond what beyond the letter or whichever thing we are going to the school with. So the approach really matters, and I've seen a lot of projects. Even some of us on this program has led, and definitely didn't get any letter from any organization. We didn't get any letter from UPEP or maybe the Ministry of Education. Yeah, you are giving back to the society, and you need to. You are not entering the school to change their curriculum to do the yes. When it comes to maybe you want to adjust curriculum, you want them to enforce there's something, then they can now start asking you to go and bring letter from the commissioner from education or from any MD or so ever. So please, let's try as much as possible to work on our manner of approach, and I see these things working. Please kindly mute your mic. Kindly mute your mic. Thank you very much. So we also have a question, those who are raising up their hand. I think we've now called. All right, let's have the question from Elizabeth from Lagos. Thank you. Those of us that have asked our question, please, we can drop our hands.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, I want to ask a question concerning the community project. Are we submitting, I just want you to clarify, are we submitting a report concerning that? Take, for example, we have a large number in Lagos, and then we want to do it in a particular team of 7. So are we supposed to send the reports as a group or individually? I don't know if you understand my question.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I just need clarifications on that so we can know how we're working.
So there are 2 things you are submitting, and you are going to submit it collectively. So the first part is the proposal, and you are also going to note the number of groups you are having in your state and the team members that are working in each group. So as soon as you are done executing your project, the next thing for you is to make a report on what they have done. And definitely for each sub-team, I believe that there is also someone representing to lead the team. They are going to work on the report, and he is going to put together as a single document. And you are also going to share it as a single submission with us. So it's going to be a single submission on a single document. Definitely, you just know how you are going to do your reporting. You might have to do a reporting for a particular, maybe team 1 report first, then other pages, and can have it in a sequential order. So it's going to be a single document which you are going to be submitting. Okay, all right. All right, Miss, I think we have Gayos. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrongly. Gayos, you can unmute your mic. Why Mr. Kechi too plan to ask his own question. Please, we are very fast with these questions so that we can end the session before 12. All right, Gayos or Kechi, whoever that is there, please kindly unmute your mic and ask your question.
Well, okay. Good morning, Mr. Manuel. Good morning, House. My question, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello.
We can hear you. We can hear you. Speak on.
I want to ask that my team members are asking this question over and over. Some are asking about the slides last week, the first and the second section.
Okay.
The state contact of SDG.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that.
We've been waiting.
And up to now, no, nothing has been done with that information. So that
All
is
right.
my question.
Okay, all right. So please, let me have all the questions once and for all, and I'll be able to respond to it as fast as possible. So Mr. There's no I can call you to ask your question. This person that is having a Gmail address, GH Simon, you should have a name, please. Kindly rename your account. So Mr. Gayos, kindly ask your question. Or Mr. Adeniji, you can ask your question. Adeniji from Kano State.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, my question is that concerning this on a school project, and you made mention of that at least one person per each school. So in a situation whereby you submit the name of the school, and unknowingly one of your advocates in the state also submit the name of the school. So how do you rectify that?
All right, I'll respond to that, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So who else is there that have not asked this question or a question? Mr. Adeniji, have you asked your question?
No.
All right, please ask your question. Why Mr. Godwin also prepared to ask this question?
Okay, thank you, sir. My questions is let's say the state project now, like, can we do, let's say, in form of a rally, like maybe a walk from maybe a particular location to a particular location? Can we do that as a project? And the second question is, I don't know, the people in my state, I don't know. It's not like maybe I'm trying to paint them in a bad way or something, but they have not been really turning up like the way I'm expecting, or I expect them to do. So I don't really know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please, the last question, I think so that I can just respond to Mr. Godwin, you can ask your question.
All right. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon. Morning. Yes, if anyone has a question, please.
Yes, we are audible.
So that I can. Okay. So that we can. So I was saying that the project, the community project, can it be an advocacy, or must it be something physical that we can do? Also, I'm a little bit confused. I was thinking that maybe a swag could be provided. Maybe T-shirt. I've done some advocacy. Sometimes they provide T-shirts so that as you go out, you just know that these are these people, and just self-identity, and that. And then also, see, we have advocates at the state. That's a little bit confused. I was thinking that some few templates could have been made to make it a little easier. The other time we did our advocacy, some instructional materials were even given to us. But this time is a little bit different. I don't know whether you can just throw more light on them so that we could make the work a little easier for some other persons as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I will quickly respond to all the questions that have been asked. The first question is on slide.
I have a question.
Okay, all right, please ask your question.
Okay, please, I want to know. In River State is very peculiar. we have a lot of we have 22 local government, and almost all the 22 local government we have volunteers in each of these local government. And then River State is not a place that you can access easy. Like from Port Harcourt to Andoni, you have to pay like 1.5 to get to that place. And then you have about 4 volunteers over there. Obiakpo, you have majority of them. You have in Ikwere, and it's just spread around the state. And then how do we identify the type of project we are going to do, and possibly ensure that we probably, because recently in River State there is a flood that took almost 2 local governments that people are suffering, and we are thinking towards that. How can we help these people? What should we do? So what is the help of the SDC, the organization, for us to carry out this project, because you can't just do an advocacy. This has been thing we have been doing in the state for a very long time. We should do a tangible project that people will see, have feelings, and have impact towards it. So how do we go about it? Because from all you have been saying, it seems SDCNN is not there to sponsor us financially to do all these projects. So how do you people now help us to achieve this aim? And then secondly, we need an identity. How do people know that these people are volunteering for a particular people? Because from what you're also saying, it seems there will be no t-shirt, there will be no face cap, there will be nothing. So how do the people know that these are people that are working for a social organization? Because I was one of the volunteer of a world largest lesson that was nationwide. There was a lot of materials for people to do work, but it seems this one is different. So I want to be clear on this, because it's a lot of thought. People are asking me a lot of questions, and then I am short of what I don't know what to say. So you can help us. So let's see what we'll do.
All right, thank you very much. I will try my possible best based on what I know the management have discussed earlier. And the very first one is the aspect of slide presentations, and this has been shared on the resource link. We all have that link. Let's endeavor to. Sometimes when you check your Google Drive, sometimes you might not see the slides, and I mean updated slide, but try as much as possible to refresh the page. Like the two presentations we have today, we are going to be sharing the slides definitely, except for a single presentation. I think that's the presentation on design thinking, and for personal reasons, I think is a policy. Yeah, she refused. She didn't, not like she refused to share a slide, but she has already informed earlier. But definitely the other resources that she has shared that will also send across to you. So all slides are going to be available on the resource link. Then the state SDG focal points for SDGs. We have received that from the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on SDGs, and it's very important because this contains emails specifically. So if you be writing to any one of them, it's very important you write through the organization. Let's know. That's why it's also stated on the proposal that list the name of organization, list the name of stakeholders you are going to be engaging or partnering with on this project. We are going to write to them directly and as well copy the state leads so that it can be more official and easy for you to follow up with. Then regarding to advocate pass-through, yes, it's very important for us to just have, okay, the attendance link has been shared. Please, I'm just saying something that no attendance list yet. The attendance link has been shared since. So those of us on YouTube and those of us on Zoom platform, kindly check for it on the comment section. It has been shared since. So for school advocates, before they send any letter across to you, they are also going to identify if there is any actor or advocate that is working in two same schools. So, and they've already said something earlier that it's the first person that submitted the name of the school that is going to be granted that school. So the second person is going to work on another school entirely. Then state projects in form of rally, advocacy projects in form of rally. Yes, and in as much as it's cut across you educating, developing, and impacting people, as far as the impact is well felt and well stated. Yeah, there is no problem regarding that. And basically, that's more reason why you are meant to submit a proposal. So if your project, maybe your project objective is not really clearly stated, they are going to share you some advice. I mean, the management are going to share you some advice and which you can also work on to make your project more impactful. Then regarding turn up from team members, currently we still have some states. I think I'm going to mention that state. I read from Ondo State today that we even have a team leader in this states. I'm wondering why some of the Southwestern states are really lagging behind regarding the SDG advocacy project. And it's very important for us to be very active with this because this is a decade of action. It's time for us to act and see how we can accelerate action in achieving the SDGs. So if there's any state by now that you don't have a team lead, please, you are wrong. Let's try as much as possible. And the person that asked that question, that do you even have a team lead, that person, you can stand in and work as a team lead for your state. Not necessarily you waiting for someone that will say that, okay, I want to be the team lead. And sincerely, I want to appreciate all the state team leads. You are doing excellently well and beyond expectation. We really appreciate all the efforts you are putting in place. And each and every one, that have made it thus far on this program, I believe that it has been personally, it has been an impactful one for me. I keep learning and relearning over SDG over and over all the time. So regarding turn-on from team members, it's very important that state team lead try as much as possible to engage all individual across the states. And for self-identity, so self-identity, you have to, so when it comes to the state's project, some might want to do you might want to do a design, you might want to produce anything. Please, most especially graphics design that is going to that you are going to be using the organization logo, please, you need to let us get informed about, you need to inform us about that and get approval from the organization before you go ahead with that. And production of ID cards, those things you are going to sort it from your hand, please. I think I just have to say it's very short. You are going to sort that from your end. And it's something that can be sorted from your end. Please, let's be responsible. Let's be our brother's keeper. So this community development project or own a school project, this project we are talking about, we have people amongst us that can run this project on our behalf, that can support. So, but nevertheless, we are also saying that whatever project you are doing, try as much as possible to be economical with it. We've not asked we are not asking that you need to go and do a very capital project that's going to request you spending millions of naira. But if there is a state that can work to achieve that level, yeah, that's very good and very brilliant. And sincerely, there is nothing you do that you think goes for free. It never goes for free. It's something that is going to pay off with time. And there are a lot of people watching. I'm going to say it again. There are a lot of people that are watching and observing what we are doing currently. And they're also expecting good and positive ends from each and every one, because it's something that is going to pay off big time for each and every one. Then the template for advocacy, the project guide that was shared with you, I believe it speaks volume. Let's endeavor to read the documents. And aside the project guide, there are some documents that were shared that are also on the SDG Advocate, the learning resources, that speaks more on advocacy, that speaks on volunteerism, that speaks on various aspects outside the masterclass session. Maybe we didn't observe that. Please go and check again. So these materials are there for you to learn from. And identifying projects, I'm so glad regarding the last speaker that I mentioned from Rivers State that mentioned the issue. We all know what is happening around the climate aspect now, a lot of issues across, but we are going to be the one to still decide what exactly we want to do. Identify the particular project, the particular problem. It all starts from what exactly is the problem, and you have to empathize and know, okay, let's ideate to know the solution we can put in place to solving this. So when it comes to this, it's a collective responsibility for the entire team to say that, okay, these are the problems, different people, because when it comes to design thinking, problem identification is the very first thing you have to do as a team. And you can identify 20 or 30 problems and later narrow it down to just 2. The most crucial one, and is of persistent needs. So you have to identify that problem as it relates to your community, that relates to the people that are living in that community, or maybe, so you know what is happening in your community better than anyone there. So we can't just say that people in Cross River State or people that are in Kaduna State want you to run maybe a radio program, or, we can't profile what is not when we are not there, except we've sent our M&E officer to go and monitor and check what exactly you can do there. But it's best, it's the best decision that you have to make for the state. I believe I've been able to respond to the questions and all, and this is 5 minutes past 12. I would like to end the call at this point. See you next week, Friday, please. Try as much as possible to revise. I might not be able to attend to any other question today. because I would like us to keep to time. I know that we have spent a lot of bandwidth, and yeah, these things pay off. And definitely, I believe it's not something that it's not just a waste. Even the sessions that we've had, let's try as much as possible to also share it. We can share the link of all these YouTube sessions, all the learning resources with our colleagues, with our friends. Let them get to learn more about SDGs and all other related aspects of SDGs, most especially the ones that has to do with our sustainable lifestyle. Thank you, each and everyone. Thank you, all the state leads. Really appreciate the great work you are doing. We wish you a wonderful weekend all.